Welcome to bonus episode 3 of Review Rewind Star Wars Summer. This is the podcast where two friends watch movies of old and ask, were they good? I'm Mike.
And I'm Joseph.
And continuing our journey, we're going to be talking about Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. Power!
Revenge of the Sith.
Ultimate power. Yeah,
It's unlimited power, Mike.
Well, I'm pretty sure he says ultimate power at some point, but
no. Thank you for listening, everybody.
I'm gonna
be back next week.
You know what? I'm gonna be stubborn about it and say eventually somewhere. This movie is rated PG-13 for some intent. Oh, it's the first.
It was the first one. You're right.
It's the first PG-13 Star Wars. Intense images and sci-fi violence. Yeah, there are definitely some intense images. Fantasy, sci-fi, action, adventures, the genre, directed by George Lucas, written by George Lucas. It released May 19th, 2005. Runtime is about 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Too short.
Again, 20th Century Fox. Budget was about $113 million, which I think that was close to the previous budgets too.
Mm-hmm.
U.S. and Canada, it was about $380 million, and worldwide, it's about $868 million. Just a bit over $1 billion total. So
yeah,
this marks the third one. Like, it has its problems, and I wouldn't trust George Lucas with a script. But, like, they gave him 3 movies, and he gave them back $1 billion each one.
Yeah.
Essentially.
They're not mad.
So, yeah, they're not mad. They're like, I don't care. The reviews could say that it was dirt, but
sure.
If it brings in $1 billion, who cares?
Some of them do. Spoiler alert. But we'll get to that later.
Oh my! Alrighty. Wait, that's the wrong property. Why don't you go ahead and give us the plot?
Yeah, absolutely. So, the plot of Episode 3. Nearly 3 years have passed since the beginning of the Clone Wars. The Republic, with the help of the Jedi, take on Count Dooku and the Separatists. With a new threat rising, the Jedi Council sends Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker to aid the captured Chancellor. Let me do that sentence again. With a new threat rising, the Jedi Council sends Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker to aid the captured Chancellor. Anakin feels that he is ready to be promoted to Jedi Master. Obi-Wan is hunting down the Separatist General Grievous when Anakin has future visions of pain and suffering coming Padme's way. He sees Master Yoda for counsel. When Darth Sidious executes Order 66, it destroys most of all of the Jedi have built. Experience the birth of Darth Vader, feel the betrayal that leads to hatred between two brothers, and witness the power of hope. So we have in each of the first 2 episodes, and I imagine this is going to be a trend. We always kind of critique this synopsis that we read off. Neither of us wrote this for any of the episodes.
This is a review rewind shtick that we have where Chris and I always, for the most part, we have an issue with the plot. Like, whatever plot synopsis we get, we usually have an issue with it.
Yeah. This
one feels like it's the one in the back of the VHS.
Yeah.
It's the seller. It's not a plot synopsis proper. It's hey, you should buy this.
Yeah. It literally uses the word experience as a verb. So it's
right.
it's not part of the synopsis. That's called marketing.
Yeah. So, I definitely have an issue with the marketing feel for it, because it doesn't tell a story well at that point. Because I think with these, you are ultimately telling a story, and I'm a music teacher, so I never remember these. What? An abstract?
Yes.
Essentially, the plot synopsis should be an abstract, and this kind of, yeah, like you said, it's marketing.
It is just marketing. This is what they would
come experience my research paper. It's like, no, no, I'm all right.
Yeah. So yeah, this synopsis is woefully incomplete, but it leaves out a lot of, it leaves out some critical details. But we'll talk about those.
Yeah.
Mostly at the back half of the movie.
Oddly enough, like, maybe I missed it. No, promoted Jedi Master, Obi-Wan hunting. Yeah, one of the big things, one of the complaints, but also one of the thrusting points of the prequels is the political environment that
this is behind the whole prequel trilogy.
Why am I forgetting? Sidious, Palpatine. Palpatine's. I don't know why I blanked on that. I was like, all I could think was Padme, and I was like, his name isn't Padme.
His name is not Padme. Yeah.
But one of the major plot points is Palpatine's exploitation of the government system.
Yeah, the political system.
And this was the climax.
Yes.
And it doesn't really bring that, because it's like when Darth Sidious execute Order 66, it's like, well, you gave away the plot twist, or like the reveal, because that hasn't been revealed yet.
Yeah,
a plot synopsis shouldn't reveal that.
That's right.
That's a really bad plot synopsis when it gives like the biggest twist of the movie. Like, everyone can see it coming, but the reveal is supposed to be that Palpatine is Sidious, and this just goes out and's like, Darth Sidious, he executes Order 66. Well, how? Who is he? Like, why does he have that ability?
That's right. They needed a scene at some point in the sequel, because going back to episode 1 and all the way to episode 3, you see Palpatine obviously working in the Senate. You also see like holograms of Sidious talking to separatist generals and stuff. They needed just like one scene in this movie where he just is taking his hood like off or on, like switching between the two in his office. Just
like he's in the hologram with the hood on, and he's like,
oh, whoops, oh, sorry,
yeah,
it's
do
me,
exactly as I say. And then like the door opens, like, Senator Palpatine.
No,
sorry, I was ordering a sandwich. Sorry, sometimes for the hologram you got to put the hood on for better.
It helps with the lighting.
What about the voice? I need a lozenge. I got a bit of
this pimple on my forehead.
I've had a sore throat for days, and I had some tea when I had to speak, so it really hit it. But in this moment, I just couldn't.
Right.
That would have been good. We'll talk about it a little bit, I'm sure, because it is something I don't like about the movie, but like they needed to make it harder for Palpatine to walk that line between him and Sidious, because he really like is Sidious in a lot of moments where it's like, hey buddy, you're out in public right now.
Yeah.
And you need to stop that.
Yeah. Yeah. The counterpoint to the idea of there should be a scene with his hood going up or down is that, like, it's kind of supposed to be a twist. It's like blindingly obvious. There's so many clues from episode 1, but it's meant to be some kind of a twist. And I think that, like, especially we have to always, with we talked about this with Jar Jar, and we have to kind of always hold this with open hands and say, look, George Lucas was making Star Wars for kids. I'm sure there were plenty of kids that throughout watching the prequel trilogies as they were released had no idea that it was the same guy. So
he was making Revenge of the Sith for teenagers, clearly, because
that's
it's
true,
PG-13.
For
it's not for children. Well, it's not for kids.
I mean, yeah, it's not
still for children.
Kids. Right.
So what did you think of the movie overall?
Man, I have to tell you, this might have been, I don't know if it just hit at the right time. I don't know if it was some like contextual psychological thing. I don't know if it's like knowing that we're doing the podcast about it. This was probably like one of the most enjoyable like times watching a Star Wars movie that I've ever had.
I don't know if I would make that leap, but this was the most enjoyable that I've watched Star Wars Episode 3.
Yeah.
I can lock that in.
That's definitely true for me. Yep.
Because I don't think I've seen this one I thought I remembered this one being bad.
Sure.
And I didn't really have that. There are aspects of the movie that are bad, but as a whole, I think it does the job. And like you said, it's ultimately for kids, but it does a good story. And the flaws may be that it was dumbed down, so to speak. But
sure,
I definitely enjoyed it a lot more than I remember enjoying it.
Absolutely. I literally, and again, I watched sort of an extended, like I have with episode 1 and 2. I watched an extended version. This one was even more ridiculous. This was not just deleted scenes like I watched with episodes 1 and 2, but this one actually cut in the last arc of 4 episodes from the Clone Wars TV show, and it happens concurrently with episode 3. And so it follows like Maul and Ahsoka, who, if you've seen the cartoons, you know who they are. Or you know who Maul is from episode 1, but he comes back in the Clone Wars.
And giving some foreknowledge, Rosario Dawson.
That's correct, yeah.
That's the character, right? She plays that live-action character.
Rosario Dawson is the live-action Ahsoka. The voice of Ahsoka in all of the cartoons is actually Ashley Eckstein, who's, fun fact, married to David Eckstein from The Angels.
Oh, okay. That's a
deep cut. Yeah.
That's not a movie or show. That is a baseball team.
That's a baseball team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
the Angels? Yes.
No. I know. I had shut up. But that, I don't know how many people who listen are actually avid baseball fans.
Sure.
So that's
fair.
The Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. Let's go ahead and lay
professional major league team, yeah.
The Los Angeles baseball team that is 8 minutes from my house, and I live in Orange, California.
Right. Same for me in Irvine, yes.
So, that's wild. So how long was that?
It was about 4 hours and 30 minutes.
So a Lord of the Rings. That's
now,
an extended version of Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. I did skip through a lot of the Clone Wars content that was cut into it, trying to focus on the movie. But there are some pretty distinct scenes where there is overlap, where they talk about
I think you would know.
Yeah.
As we were talking about that synopsis too, because from the movie standpoint, we have no reason to agree with Anakin that he's ready to be a master.
That's
from
probably
the movie,
fair. Yeah.
From the movie.
Yes.
So if we're speaking from the movie universe,
yes,
We have no reason to agree with Anakin. He is out of line throughout the entire movie.
That's correct.
Does the Clone Wars give him more justification?
Oh, boy, yes. Wow.
Okay.
He is one of the top generals in the entire Republic Army. Yes.
I wish they had put some backstory, even if they didn't show anything. If know that moment where Obi-Wan is basically saying like you have to spy on Palpatine,
right?
If he would have been like, Master, I'm frustrated with the Council. I have done this. I have done this. I have done this. I won this battle. Like Obi-Wan could have been like, I understand your accomplishments,
right?
But look back and understand that the pride of your accomplishments doesn't outweigh the balance and the humility that you have to have to be a Jedi. Like there could have been a really good like learning moment, character development, but we just have him kind of being frustrated and
yes.
And sadly, in the way that the story is being told, when he says like, oh, they're not letting me be a master, and it's like, yeah, because Palpatine is the one pushing for it. Like,
yeah, he's only on the council because Palpatine, like appoints him himself.
But it wasn't like Anakin himself advocated for himself to say, hey, I believe this to be the case. I would honor you guys, but I believe this to be the case, whatever it might be. It was Palpatine, came in and was like, I think you should be on here, and I am pushing to, which is this weird irony that Sidious tricks, like manipulates Anakin and says, the Jedis want to take over my reign, when he is forcing his way into the Jedi Council.
Right.
So he, in turn, is trying to take over the Jedi Council, and Anakin is just like, they are trying to take your power away from you. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of finger pointing, and, sorry.
No, it's okay. So a lot of you said a lot of finger pointing.
Yeah, there's a lot of finger pointing going each way, and each side is kind of just blaming the other of doing the same thing, and that's obviously where Anakin is caught. You were right to say earlier, by the way, that Anakin in the Clone Wars TV show shows a whole bunch of his experience and his leadership abilities and his strength and his ability to win battles and stuff like that. And his aptitude with the Force. But what is consistent, and this happens in the TV show too, what he's consistently bumping up against from not being granted the rank of master is his temperament. And it's his lack of self-control. He still will like get frustrated and like kill people in the Clone Wars. Like he's breaking the Jedi code fairly consistently in the Clone Wars. And not in any ways that are, akin with like massacring the Tusken Raiders or anything like that. But, you just see him, his frustration gets loose, his jealousy, his anger. There's like flashes of his future. So
interesting.
Yeah. For sure.
What did you like best about the movie?
Man, it's hard to pick. I think that there are I think it's not an individual scene. It's not an individual theme or character. For me, it's that this movie means so much to the story. And so for example, it is undoubtedly the link between the prequels and the originals. Way more than episode 4 harkens back to the prequels.
Right.
Episode 3, lays the groundwork for the original trilogies. So that's one element of it. is just the connectedness. It's the pivot point of the whole saga up to episode 6. It's the climax really until sort of this next generation.
Right.
I also love about it that I was almost by the end of the movie, I was almost taking notes of all the people that we see in this movie. This movie includes literally on screen almost every major character from the whole saga of 1 through 6.
Yeah.
And so on screen, you've got obviously Anakin and Obi-Wan and like Yoda, Palpatine, Padme. You know, pretty much the only major character from the prequels that isn't on screen is Qui-Gon Jinn, and he even gets like a shout out at the end. But on screen, you also have Luke and Leia and Chewbacca.
Right.
Granted, Luke and Leia are babies, but like again, it's the connective tissue, but for the whole saga, which is just awesome. And for me, like all of this just gets kind of thrown together where like episode 3, what I love most about it is just that it's so big and it's so climactic and it's so consequential and it's so orchestrated to tie together what they did in 1 and 2 to what they did in the original trilogy. And I think, yeah, there's some clunkiness we'll talk about later of some what did I not enjoy, but those are relatively minor compared to the fact that the story is woven together, I think, really well and in such just an epic way.
You're going to fall into some issues no matter what you do when you're building a movie that is meant to lead into another movie.
Yes.
This is not a conclusion, but that connective tissue into episode 4. And so there are going to be issues that occur, but upon this viewing, man, I gotta say, it's one of the better connectors.
Yeah. And I would say, too, not to cut you off, my apologies, but you say it's not a conclusion, and it's not. It sets up so many things that come
right
in the original trilogy, but it is, I think, an incredible conclusion to this era of Star Wars. The fall of the Republic, the fall of the Jedi. Those two things are interlinked and each so powerful to the story at large. Right. And this movie, I think, nails them.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's true. I think it's there's a thread that leads to episode 4 throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
And he had to weave new thread into it after the rope has already been made.
Right.
And there are some threads that are still sticking out, but all in all, like, it closes it in a way that is fitting.
It's incredible. It's the same feeling at the end of Rogue One, where you have the data card of the Death Star going on to Captain Antilles' ship. It's called the Tantive 4, but going onto that ship, it gets released and they blast away. Right.
Like, that is literally the beginning of episode 4.
Perhaps hours before episode 4 is when Rogue One takes place, and this is obviously episode 3 and episode 4 are separated by about 19 years in the timeline, but you have that same emotion is sort of evoked.
Right.
You can see. Okay, Leia is going to the Organas. Luke is going to the Lars family. Like, you see all of just the stepping stones being put in place. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really satisfying.
Yeah. Agreed. I think Obi-Wan is probably my favorite part of the movie. He has another good story that he's kind of putting together. He's fighting Grievous. He's leading this battle, whatever it might be, and then has to figure out what to do after Order 66 is put into place. And, he has a lot of development, I feel like, throughout the whole thing. Yeah, I like Obi-Wan. I like his storyline through it.
Absolutely.
Did you have anything else that you liked best?
No, I think everything is sort of... I could pick out individual scenes and moments and stuff, but that'd just be a bunch of time. It's the fact that they all click together so well.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
There
are a lot of epic scenes, though.
Yeah, there are.
Yeah.
What did you like least? Or before we get to that, what did you have a scene in mind?
Not in particular, but I would just say, like, in my opinion, like, the last hour of this movie is probably like some of the very best Star Wars content ever. I mean, you have the fight on Mustafar. You have Padme's just devastation. That's probably some of the best acting in the prequels. You have, Darth Vader being put together and rising, Luke and Leia going to their homes. Like, when you see Owen Lars with his foot up on like the mound of dirt and the twin suns, like, come on.
The lighting was so much better in that.
Yes. Yeah.
That was a much better shot than like the first one or whichever one it was.
Yeah.
The second one.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
There's a lot.
The last half of this movie is just, I wouldn't change one frame.
I would say that's the, like, I think after the point, I don't know if it's the last half, but I would say, like, after the point that Mace Windu dies, spoilers. I think after that point, really hits its stride, and the pacing is that's where it is for the rest of the movie.
It's just quick.
It's just go. I don't like the Mace Windu fight that happens with Sidious.
Yeah. Those 3 Jedi just get wiped out in like 2 seconds. That's always been laughable to me.
And then, like, Sidious shooting his electrical stuff. And then, like, that's what somehow convinces Anakin to attack. When it's like, he's killing me. And it's like, you could stop.
Right.
You could stop shooting that's like if you're saying you're shooting a gun at a shield and you're like, this guy's going to kill me. This guy's going to kill me. That ricochet is going to come right back at me.
Sure.
Oh, no. Like, you're the one shooting. Stop shooting.
Yeah.
But that's what convinces him. And I think George could have written something better. But...
there's no shortage of scenes where George could have written better dialogue, for instance. I mean, that's spoiler alert, but that's going to be my negative about this movie. But
there's a lot of points where you're like, really? That's where you're... So let's get into that.
Yeah, let's hop into there. Yeah.
What did you like least about the film?
Yeah, I would say number one, the dialogue is still pretty clunky. The dialogue, I think, is a bit of an improvement from episode 2, as is the CGI. In fact, the CGI takes a huge leap forward for episode 3.
Yeah, there's only a couple spots that are like, that's a vision problem. Like you were trying to accomplish something that the CGI just couldn't really keep up with. Like Anakin jumping on to the little droid over the lava.
Oh, yeah.
It just looks so ugly. It doesn't make sense. Obi-Wan lands on a platform. That's great. And then Anakin has to land on a 8-inch disc size droid or whatever. And it just looks bad. The gravity looks bad. Like,
yeah, the physics of it is what
it doesn't make any
it.
sense. And like his hair in certain scenes just don't look like they didn't key it out right. So it's kind of like it's hurting. It's creating distortion between him and the background. So it's adding that like bit of separation, so it doesn't look good.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, dialogue is not great. CGI is better. There's only a few complaints, but the CGI is better. When Obi-Wan is riding that lizard thing, there are some scenes where it's like,
yes, it's a little bouncy. Yeah,
yeah, but
same thing. It's the physics. I think the result of that is they, again, as with 1 and 2, they do so much of the blue screen work where they just try to key him out, and there's. You can key out an actor and then make it bounce around the screen.
Right.
There's not going to be inertia.
They didn't do physical movement.
Correct.
They did post movement, and so it
the
looks
hair and the
unnatural.
clothing isn't bouncing. Yeah, it's
also I don't think they've ever nailed. I could only think of one of them, but wait. You know what? Let me do this.
Google exists.
I know. Hold, please. Oh, well. Tamura? Is that his name?
Morrison?
Tamura Morrison?
Yeah.
I don't think they ever nail when he's wearing the suit. Every time his helmet is off, he's got floating head.
Oh, sure.
And I don't know if it was like they just put him in a green screen suit, and so they just couldn't get the proportions to his head, and so he always looks awkward when he doesn't have his helmet off. And now I'm looking back and I'm like, man, they should have just put him in like a green stormtrooper outfit, so they would have had the like dimensions nicely done. But his body, his armor always looks too small for his head.
Yeah. I bet what they did, they used a bunch of practical soldiers and people, and then they just cut his head onto the people.
Maybe.
That's a total guess, but...
Yeah. But if he was physically there, I bet you they just put him in a motion cap suit and put armor digitally on him. But for that time and everything, I don't think they ever nailed it.
Sure. If that is what they did too, what they could have done is just had like stunt actors doing the motion.
Yeah.
And then
because like the scenes I'm thinking of, he's usually just standing.
Yes.
He isn't doing anything super complicated. But I'm pretty sure it's like a motion cap suit. I'm thinking of like Avengers Endgame, where they have
suits.
them wearing, but they're wearing their normal costumes, and then in post they make them the time travel suits, but the time travel suits still have the shape of their normal costume in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that probably could have saved them a lot of time in post if they would have had him in like a green screen armor.
Mm-hmm.
Because they could have changed the armor at that point. They didn't have to keep any of them, but they would have had the size, the dimensions the right way.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Anyway, that's a weird complaint. That's just me being like,
who even knows if that technology was around in 2003?
Exactly. Like it could have not.
Yeah.
One of the things I hate the most is Palpatine. I hate how he's written. It's the biggest eyesore writing wise, because and I mean that too in the connective tissue of Anakin's turn, his turn from the light to the dark side. So we're supposed to, the idea of he fears Padme's death. That's fine. That's great. But you have a senator who we are supposed to believe that Anakin doesn't understand that he knows the Force hardly at all. From the story, from the movie that we have. And yet he's telling him these deep, untold Sith stories. And he's just like,
how do you know this?
You can show me how
suspicious?
to You can show me how to save her life? Mm-hmm. That's all I heard. I didn't hear, oh, this guy is clearly a Sith. And maybe my masters had a reason to be suspicious.
Right.
Like he is clearly suspicious. If Anakin was as good as he's supposed to be, or at least as he's saying or projecting himself, he should have been able to hear that, see that, know that.
Yes.
But maybe we can say that the fear of losing Padme was enough to blur that line, but there is so much. There is just too much to be like, you ignored that?
Yeah. So here's what I'm thinking as you're saying this. I think this is brilliant, because there are like kind of two scenes where Palpatine is sort of revealing,
his
how
true
much
intentions.
He knows, yeah. And the first one is at like the performance-y, it almost looks like a Cirque du Soleil kind of thing happening
I was like space opera,
a big bubble, yeah,
yeah.
And then the second one is actually in his office where he reveals, and he says something about like the dark side of the Force, and that's when Anakin says, "You're the Sith Lord."
Right.
But here's the thing. Here's what I'm kind of like, is why didn't that click during the opera or the Cirque du Soleil performance? Because if Anakin is able to determine, wait, you're a Sith Lord, before Palpatine mentions Padme or saving the ones that you love or anything, if he's just like, yeah, the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise, wait, how do you know that, Palpatine? Are you a Sith Lord? Do you know the dark side of the Force? If that connection is made, then Anakin goes to Mace, whatever, and then there's no stakes for Padme, like, credits roll, Jedi win.
No,
it's not
I
that
understand.
simple, but
I understand plot wise why it's there.
Yeah, totally.
It's just lazy.
I don't disagree with you at all. Yeah.
But I just think that Palpatine is a lazy write. Like, he wrote him lazy, and
he's a kid's villain. I mean, it's as simple as that. He's a kid's villain.
Yeah, he's Dupenschmurf from Darth Dupenschmurf.
That's so bad.
But I mean, like, that's how ridiculous the plan is. But ultimately, the idea that he starts this war ultimately on his own to gather power, fine. That's fine. Mm-hmm. That works. This last, whatever to get ultimate power,
unlimited.
Yeah. It's I don't know if he like kept reading through it and was like, this isn't enough, I gotta write more, mm-hmm. Because the fact that the army was doing well, and the fact that Obi-Wan defeated Grievous, the
war was over, yeah.
But they could have said, like, he could have just had people, he could have paid people to bring out this idea of, like, give him power under the scope of what he's accomplished, not out of desperation.
Sure.
Because if you have an authoritarian who gets power through manipulating the system and making people think he did well, he'll never run out of power.
Sure.
But I guess the idea was he needed to destroy the Jedi, and the way to do that was to make the Jedi the scapegoat.
Yeah.
It's just the way he got there was just, it was too much. I don't know.
It's rickety. Like, I'm picturing like a, like this fragile old bridge to get from here to here, and it's like, yeah, that's how the movie does it, and it's the most direct line from here to there, but it is rickety,
Yeah, it's you can't put a lot of weight on it.
Right.
Was there anything else that stood out that you were like,
no? I would say no, not particularly, but there is, as I was just kind of preparing for the recording and stuff, I was reading more about episode 3, and I found that Lucas had to scrap a lot of scenes. They're not even deleted scenes. They never even filmed them.
He just he cut them in the writing phase.
He cut them in the writing. P.S. By the way, the deleted scenes that did actually get shot and that were included in my viewing this time were not terribly consequential. I'd say my favorite one, there is a meeting between a group of senators, like for example, Bail Organa, Padme Amidala, and Mon Mothma, who will go on to be the leader of the rebellion. It's like a group of senators that start calling themselves like the Republic, like loyalists or something like that, and they're like resistant to the idea of Palpatine taking power. It is very clearly like laying the groundwork for the rebellion. It's all the same people. I think that's kind of a brilliant little scene. It's about 3 minutes long, and they're just like, this is weird. We should start an organization to resist this. It's like, it's the most on the nose thing, but it's one of those threads just connecting the two trilogies. Otherwise,
they would be called RAP.
Yeah.
Republics railing against Palpatine.
That's right.
RAP.
And then the other, this is like literally, it's like a 30-second deleted scene at the very end, and it's Yoda landing on Dagobah. That's it.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's fan service, but still. Well, you know what? I do hope, since it is a deleted scene and it technically it is not canon, it'd be nice if they did that in the Obi-Wan series.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Right? We have that connection of like, it's like, where did he go? And it's like, oh,
sure.
Dagobah. Well, he has to. He has to have some connection, because why would Obi-Wan know?
Right.
Obi-Wan is the one who tells Luke. All right, getting ahead of ourselves.
No, you're good. I was going to say, too, though, that there were other stuff cut in the writing process. And some of these, I would say, in 2005, I would have been mad that these were cut. But in 2022, I don't care, because they show up in the Clone Wars. And so, like, for example, they were originally going to have more detail about Sifo Dyas and where the clone army came from on Camino.
Oh.
Sort of how that was all like orchestrated and stuff. There was going to be
does that get explained in the Clone Wars?
Definitely, yeah.
Oh.
Yes, that's like a major reveal in the Clone Wars.
This is such a weird moment for me, because like, I'm clearly the dad who didn't watch the show, and the young person is telling me about it. I'm like,
yeah, exactly.
Oh, cool. That's nice.
Another one, you have Boba Fett, who's obviously the younger, the clone of the older Jango Fett, who was killed in episode 2.
So he's probably what, 13, 14 in
Revenge? He's like a teenager. You have him attempting to assassinate Mace Windu.
That is a Clone Wars.
That is,
yeah,
too.
yeah.
And then you
I read about that one. That one. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you also have Qui-Gon's ghost actually showing up to talk to Yoda about that immortality, like, ghost thing. So that is only name dropped at the very end, but they were originally going to have like Liam Neeson, yeah, which would have been awesome.
Yoda.
So
you don't know me. I have a particularly set of skills. I'm a ghost.
Yeah, but all three of these scenes, and there's others, but all three of these scenes do make it into the Clone Wars TV show.
Gotcha.
And so here again in 2022, like I don't care because I know these stories and these threads and stuff. But I bet if I'm watching in 2005, I'm going like, well, they never talked about that Sifo Dyas guy. What was that all about? You know, whatever. So I'm sure many people were saying that, Mike.
I'm sure I was absolutely saying that.
Yeah.
I was.
So anyway,
I was like, well, "Where's that Psycho Deus guy?"
Psycho Dyas.
Yeah. One other thing I did not like was the demise of Padme. Yeah. I was thinking about it a lot, and I kind of understand where they're coming from, but I also think it would have had more weight if the actions of Anakin had been ultimately what caused it.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea that, like, she's just heartbroken.
Sure.
And, you know, the doctor's like, she's perfectly healthy. She just has lost the will to live.
That's a little hand wavy, yeah.
Yeah. When he had ultimately the idea that Anakin's anger would have clouded him enough to not know the limitations of his power, or the powerfulness of his power, where when he's doing the force choke on Padme, if he would have just gone too far, where ultimately he damaged something.
Yes.
And so she had enough strength to give birth, but she couldn't continue because of that damage. I think story-wise, that would have been perfect.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, it's horrible. It's sad. It's really dark.
Of course.
It's really dark. But ultimately, if you have that event happen, you have Anakin spending all of this time to save Padme when his obsession with saving her ultimately kills her.
Yes, absolutely.
But that payoff doesn't happen.
Not directly. I don't know. I don't know. Is that meant to be implied?
I think it's meant to be implied, but because whatever he physically did to her apparently did nothing medically to her, I think it negates it.
Sure.
Because ultimately, I think it is he ends up being the thing that kills her.
Mm-hmm.
The story is supposed to be, I truly think the story is supposed to be, he gets so obsessed with wanting to save her that he is ultimately her demise. Yeah. But she just kind of loses her will to live upon the realization that he's a Sith and that he did all of these horrible things, which that feels like a cop-out.
Sure. Yeah.
Like,
I agree with that.
She died sort of because of him, because of the choices he made as a person, rather than the choices he made to express his power and hurting her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think the weight of what it was could have been, because then Palpatine, Sidious wouldn't have lied. He would have actually told the truth, which would have been even more like, you have become the greatest Sith because you killed the one you love. Like, in your journey for power, you've actually destroyed the thing you were trying to save.
That's right.
And that guilt could have been the guilt that he holds with him and holds him tight to the Sith forever.
Absolutely.
But now it's technically a lie, and at any given point, we could find out that it was a lie, and he could really come out of that.
Yep.
Like,
yeah, I see what you mean.
But if he would have been the direct reason she died, he could never leave that guilt.
That's right.
And so it would take the power of his son, the love of his son, that ultimately saves him.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think that would have brought more impact to Luke and his storyline.
Totally.
But it's whatever. Like, I would love to know if he regrets that or if he would change that, because it takes you out of the moment of, like, Obi-Wan is like, is she okay?
Mm-hmm.
And the doctor's like, she's fine. But she's getting worse, and we don't know.
Right.
We don't know why. And you're just like, what do you mean? What? No, it would have been what he did, right? No? She's what? But yeah. You're supposed to think back to you're breaking my heart. And then it's supposed to be like, oh, she died of a broken heart. And I don't know, it just feels cheap. Like, it doesn't feel good. And I really hate that. You literally could have just changed the dialogue to, like, is she going to be okay? It's like, she was able to give birth, but she has a lot of damage, and she's not fighting.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Then you could have been like, she's brokenhearted and she's dying.
Yep.
So there you have both those worlds, but yeah, I don't know. That's a long rant to say that I did not like how he killed off Padme.
No, it's all good. Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think if that was more direct, it would not just make it like a better and more emotional, like, part of the movie, but it would tie more thematically into what they're trying to do with Anakin.
And I think Darth Vader would have been that much more, like,
tragic. I mean, just
that's that's Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah,
that's literally Romeo and Juliet, where he, she thinks he's gone a certain way. She thinks he's died. Mm-hmm. So she kills herself, and then he wakes up to find her dead. They could have done something closer to that, and I think it would have worked, considering that, even though I think objectively a lot of people can look at Romeo and Juliet and be like, those people were dumb.
Right.
But it still works. Like, the story still works. And I don't know, maybe he didn't want to commit to it. I don't know, but yeah, it feels like that game-winning shot, and it's just a little short. A little short.
Or it's like 0.1 seconds after the buzzer.
Right, exactly. Oh, man. Who was your favorite character?
This is so tough for me. I've been seeing this question come up on the script tonight, and it's tough because what makes this movie great is the ensemble, and it's the fact that it's all of these threads happening together. I think I'm gonna pick one character, and I'm pretty sure it's the same one you're gonna pick, and it's Obi-Wan.
I was gonna say C-3PO. No.
Oh, come on. Yeah.
No. Yeah, Obi-Wan for sure. Obi-Wan is the glue of the story.
Yeah.
Like, he really, he has what feels, and I could be wrong about this, because they're talking about war, and war is horrible, and there's ultimately no, like, quote unquote good guy in war. Mm-hmm. Oftentimes, but he seems to have that moral backbone throughout the whole thing.
Absolutely.
And when people are starting to go the wrong direction, he's kind of the one that's like, I don't like this, and I don't think we should go this way. Mm-hmm. Even from the get-go, where Anakin is like, I should be with you, and Obi-Wan's like, I absolutely think you should be with me, but
yeah,
you need to go do this other thing. Like, he's kind of like, yeah, you're right. I agree with you, man. it's not in my power.
Right. Yeah, Obi-Wan in this movie is I mean, he is in the whole prequel trilogy, but he is just the most like relentlessly faithful, good guy, you know. And
this is the movie where I think he finds his place as truly Qui-Gon's replacement.
Yeah,
where
I like that.
He fits that role really well because he questions the council enough. He questions Anakin enough. He you know, even when Anakin kind of is arguing and he's like, we're loyal to the Republic. The council is loyal to the Republic. Our end goal is loyalty to the Republic. We're loyal to democracy.
Yeah.
We're not loyal to a person. And, you know, in a lot of ways, I feel like that's him saying, like, we're not loyal. I'm not loyal to Mace Windu or Yoda. It's the democracy. It's that's where we're going.
Yeah. You're totally right. I had not made that connection or thought about that before, about him sort of starting to fill Qui-Gon's shoes for the first time in the saga. But I think you're onto something there. He is he's just the believer. Like he's the optimist. He's the, I know all this crazy stuff is going on, but like this is who we are, you know.
And he really holds to it even when like Order 66 occurs and you know, he's like, well, we have to risk it to make sure that everyone who can escape or be safe is. You know,
that's right. They go back to the Jedi Temple and
he continues to put himself at risk to ensure that others are safe.
Yes, 100%.
Even if it means, I think he knows the truth even from the get-go, but it's even if it means confirming his worst fear.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm going to go do it.
Yep. Yeah, you're totally right. Yeah, that scene of him and Yoda going back to the Jedi Temple didn't need to happen if you think about it story-wise. All that serves to do is confirm that it's Anakin, is to go look at the security tapes and stuff. But they could have just gone straight to Bail Organa and like been safe. But you're right. They're putting themselves out there to get to the bottom of this and to potentially protect others.
I do think property-wise or like Star Wars property-wise, that is the out for spin-offs. Because essentially the idea is like all the Jedi are dead or whatever. Sure. But the message is still sent, and even Yoda says like it's going to take the clones a long time to figure out that message is there.
Yeah.
And so the assumption is the very few Jedi that are surviving get out, and we see that in The Mandalorian that's true, right?
In The Mandalorian?
Or
you see, so you're talking about Jedi that emerge from...
What's her name? Rosario Dawson.
Ahsoka?
Is she... Yeah. Was she a Jedi in the prequels?
That's a tough question to answer without spoiling things.
Is she in there?
She is in the Clone Wars.
Right. So my point being is like, spoilers for some of the older ones, she is with someone who is in the future that we know of in the future.
Yeah. She
and my point being
Order
is like
66,
there's right. So Obi-Wan's ultimate plan works out for at least someone.
Sure. Well, she's not saved because of Obi-Wan's message though.
Okay.
So she gets out on her own, as do a couple other Jedis. You have during Order 66. These are characters that are written, you know, after Disney acquires Lucasfilm and stuff.
Okay.
But they are sort of retconned into that era. And so Ahsoka is one of them. You have Kanan Jarrus from Star Wars Rebels. You have Cal Kestis from Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. These are all, you know, they survive Order 66 and then they're like hiding out, and you know.
Gotcha. But they survive just on their own gusto.
They survive by like escaping close calls with clones. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, I want to say it's an open door.
I do.
I'm going to say that.
Like all of that said, though, I think that you're right. I think that there is totally room for them to use the message, for future, folks to use. What is funny is that message does show up in Rebels, but it's like a recording that Kanan just kind of like watches back, but it's not how he was saved.
Oh, okay. He watches it back kind of in the same way that Luke watches the Obi-Wan message. Like it's there's something to it. It's a moth to the flame. Like he's probably seeing it. He's probably seeing it and like, I just want to see someone else that I know, and
it's a total like nostalgia,
right? Reminiscing,
kind of hopeful,
right?
Longing, yeah.
But I do think our question that we were answering is favorite characters. I think Obi-Wan, yeah. I don't like. I really don't like Palpatine. I don't like how he was written. He's a fine bad guy ultimately, but I just how he's written. Anakin is just dumb as a doorknob in certain aspects, and it doesn't make any sense. And I, come to think of it, I don't like how Padme was written in certain aspects, and maybe the deleted scenes would have balanced it out. But we have this woman who, regardless of her pregnancy, is a very strong woman. She's the reason they go to save Obi-Wan in the second one. She is a kick-ass, just does what is needed.
Yeah.
And this one, they write her for like a third of the movie, just kind of sitting in her house, looking at the temple from afar. And, I don't know if she's getting those.
She is pregnant. Like, for what
I understand that. But like the fact that she's just kind of like waiting and crying, that's her a lot in this movie.
Sure.
And ignoring C-3PO, which
yes,
it's the most realistic thing in the whole movie is everyone ignoring C-3PO.
So funny.
It just that spending 2 movies having this person be such a go-getter and then having her like sit back as much as she did just feels off. It just doesn't. It feels like it doesn't work for her character.
Her one big move in this movie is to
going after Anakin.
Go after Anakin at the end.
Yeah.
Not realizing
that felt
Obi-Wan
right.
That
felt right. Yeah, but that felt right. That was the right move. That was exactly what she would do. The rest of the movie is like, well, where were you? Why didn't you do that?
Right.
Yeah. So we like Obi-Wan. Other characters are fine. So this was the connective tissue from, the 3 prequels to the 3 originals. Were there any plot holes that you saw or things that you just didn't understand?
Man. Again, I think there's a difference between watching this movie in 2005 and watching this movie in 2022.
Right.
So I think actually, just to go back to what I was saying earlier, it's those scenes that were cut that just help it kind of tie together. Those aren't even necessarily plot holes. I can't think of any plot holes within episode 3. But as far as just making the connections to the other, 2 and 4 a little bit clearer, there are scenes that could have existed that explained Sifo Dyas and that, talk about the if you want to count the deleted scene, right, with the senators saying that they're going to start a loyalist, resistance.
Yeah.
And, it's just like, it's little things like that, but there's really no plot holes or anything that I didn't understand.
So now that we're in episode 3, I feel like we can talk about it a little bit. Something that has always bothered me, or something I didn't fully understand, is would leading an army in a war in the way that they do it fall under the category of the Jedi Order?
That is such a that's a key question for the Clone Wars TV show as well.
Okay,
I hate to just be like a commercial for the Clone Wars over and over.
No. But I do think that. So we're doing this special episode where we're going through the 9 movies. That isn't to say that you're getting the complete story in those 9 movies. Like,
that's
you really should. Like, if you want to get the whole of Star Wars, you do kind of have to watch everything, because except for 1 or 2 things, there hasn't been anything that has come out that doesn't have at least some connective tissue or some important plot aspect from it. You know, like even what's the one in between episode 3 and 4?
Star Wars Rebels.
No, the movie. Sorry.
Oh, Rogue One.
Rogue One.
And Solo.
And Solo. Like, whatever your opinions of those movies, they have aspects that connect in some important ways to the rest of the storyline. So if you want to get the whole picture of Star Wars, you kind of do have to watch them. And, you know, I think we're going to watch... My wife and I are going to watch, or Krista and me, the real co-star of this show.
Yes.
I think Krista and I are going to probably jump into those really soon. I think we're looking into now that we're done with Moon Knight. We need. I know Obi-Wan's coming, but we like to have a show that we watch.
They're awesome, dude.
Yeah,
I can't recommend them enough.
But, that I know that maybe it gets answered in Clone Wars, but I think the biggest plot hole, or at least the thing that is left really with a big question mark from the movies, without the extra context from the shows, is, you know, the Jedi way, the Jedi Order, and yet they're the ones leading these soldiers into war, and they're generals and stuff like that. And I know it has to connect because Luke says, "You fought in the Clone Wars?" But I feel like they could have fought without being the ones who lead the clones in a lot of ways.
Sure.
But again, I know that context will get answered, but that feels like something that always, maybe it's not a plot hole, but it always leaves like a bad taste in my mouth of the idea that we have these Jedis who, you know,
they're the
follow
generals,
follow a bunch of rules to hold to a standard, and yet they're the generals in a war.
And it's like, why couldn't they just clone the generals, or like develop clone generals?
Right.
They
didn't need the Jedi. The Jedi shouldn't have been leading them. I don't think that really falls under what the Jedi do, but that's how they were written in, and that's what happened. And
that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. It just, that was one of the things that always bothered me. And I think in the third one, it really stood out. I think a lot of people, when they watch this, would go, plot holes, Chewbacca. And then the reality is, actually, if you watch it, Chewbacca is like 100 and something years old when he and Han are besties. Like, Wookiees are clearly an older species.
They live a long time. Yeah.
And then
they pay no attention to their age.
But the age, regardless of the age thing, I thought that was such a clever thing from Lucas because Chewbacca and Yoda are never in the same room together in the rest of the movies.
That's right.
So you have no reason to believe that they connected or anything, but they've also had no reason to like rekindle that friendship. Yeah. So Yoda saying goodbye to Chewbacca makes perfect sense. Like, there's no plot hole there. It was that one thing, which makes me wonder if when he was writing the third one, if he was like, all right, how can I really connect this? hey, Yoda and Chewie are never in the same room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let's use that.
They need like Lando Calrissian.
That was the only one
Obi-Wan Kenobi or something.
You know, that gets answered in Solo in that they were pretty young.
Yeah, no,
they would have
totally
been children.
Kidding. Yeah,
which makes the original Star Wars kind of weird because like Han is clearly in his like late 20s or early 30s, late 20s, early 30s, and Leia's like 19 when they meet.
Yeah,
you. They should have never answered how old he was. Just left it for like questions of like given that timeline. But they're like, Luke and Leia are 19 and everyone else is everyone else. I will say, maybe this is rude of me and maybe they'll answer it. And we could talk about it with A New Hope, but like, man, Obi-Wan ages poorly.
Yeah. That's like, one of the funnier kind of things about like the Obi-Wan show and the coming up, and with the prequels to episode 4, it's only a 19-year difference, and you go from
and I'm trying to think of that because he's only like, he's got to be in his 40s, like at oldest 45 in Revenge of the Sith, and so he's in his 60s maybe. And Alec Guinness just looks like he's in his 80s. Like he's just not. It's not a good age. But now that we're at the end of this, we can kind of talk about it. That I saw a special once that was talking about Ewan McGregor's voice in the prequels, and that, as far as like a verbal coach or like someone who's gauging verbal tics and different things like that, he nails Alec Guinness. Like he nails the rhythm, the timing. And so one of the guys that was talking about it was saying like, it is believable that Ewan McGregor is a young Alec Guinness based on his voice alone.
That's
so
awesome.
It's one of those things that like you really never. I don't feel like you.
It doesn't stand out.
Yeah. It's not a standout thing, but it's like it's actually a very accurate. Like it's a very accurate representation, awesome. And so that's kind of cool. Just the aging doesn't make any sense.
Sure. Yeah, it's just the physical appearance, but Ewan does what he can.
All right, so before we get into the reviews, is there anything else that like stands out or anything left from number 3 before we close the book?
I just want to I want to end where I started and just say this is some of the most enjoyable Star Wars viewing I ever had. Just this past weekend watching episode 3. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah. All righty. Well, now it's time for the review rewind. We look at critic reviews from when this movie was released. Joseph will read a positive review, and I will read a negative review. And we'll see where we personally fall. These were both taken... So I always talk about it, but emphasize it, I guess, is one of the hard parts is that some of these companies, some of these newspapers and stuff like that don't have the best... record keeping, and so sometimes all I can get is a blip because when you click the link to the actual article from
2005
it does, all that exists is the blip. The one you're gonna read, I was able to take a couple parts out of it. The one I read only has the one thing, but what was funny was when I clicked on it, it took me to the page of the guy who reviewed it, and he's got some bad takes.
Oh no,
he's got some real bad takes.
No.
I was just like, it didn't have the Star Wars article, so I only have the blip. But I was reading through some of them, just kind of like, oh, maybe if I scroll down, I'll find it. And it's just all of his like reviews, and I'm just like,
oh no,
you didn't like that movie? What? That's such a bad take. Okay, so go ahead and read the positive review.
Positive review, yeah. This comes from the Seattle Post-Intelligencer. After disappointing critics and hardcore fans, if not the mass audience, with the first 2 installments of his trilogy of Star Wars prequels, episodes 1 and 2, Lucas has exonerated himself with Lean, Mean, and Irresistible, episode 3. The movie grabs us from its heart-pounding opening sequence and pulls us exorbitantly along its trajectory with the grip of the last gruesome act of a Greek tragedy. Its fascination is not what happens, but how it happens. Well
you
said.
know that scene where in Toy Story when Mr. Potato Head pops his lips off and then taps it onto his butt. That's what I felt reading that a little bit. Not because I necessarily disagree. It's just like, man, you are laying it on thick. That is.
Hey, he loved the movie and he loves his job.
Apparently. But that person gave it 100.
Yeah.
Out of 100.
Yes. Out of 137. Yeah. No.
100/100 is the same as 10 out of 10.
Yeah, same
but
thing.
This one is from the New Yorker, and it is 10 out of 100.
Oh my gosh!
And the general opinion of you're already wrong, just off that. The general opinion of Revenge of the Sith seems to be that it marks a distinct improvement on the last 2 episodes, The Phantom Menace and The Attack of the Clones. True. All right. But only in the same way that dying from natural causes is preferred from crucifixion.
Okay, dude.
Douchebag. Man, that's such a bad take.
That's very negative. 10 out of 100. Come on.
And
that's not
the idea
right.
that he can, and I know it's a he, but the idea that he could say that it's an improvement, but
10 out of 100.
Improvement in the worst way possible, I guess.
Sure. Or we're 1 and 2 just in single digits,
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad take. It's a bad take.
Bad.
I would not give it 100, but I would definitely not give it a 10. That's too low. So where are you at?
I have to tell you, ever since I watched this movie on Saturday, we're recording this on Thursday, I have probably gone back and forth between 2 grades about 3 or 4 times.
Are those 2 grades
yes.
determinative? Like a cusp line, or are they starkly different?
Oh, they're a cusp line for sure.
Okay.
I keep going back and forth between giving Revenge of the Sith an A or an A+.
Oh, wow.
And I think oh boy, I've thought about this a while. I think, and it makes me a little sad to do this, but I think I'm going to just stick with an A. I think that this is literally ironing out some clunky dialogue away from being an A+.
Yeah. Okay.
That's it for me. But I'm happy to give it an A. Solid A.
I'm going to still kind of hold back. I think I'm going to give it a B+.
Okay.
Because the things I don't like are pretty I think some of them are pretty important. Like Palpatine, the villain, is really important, and he was just written so poorly, and
sure.
you kind of accept it because it is moving the plot along, but it's not doing it well. It's almost like if some really important parts of the movie was just exposition, was just someone explaining it, and you're like, yeah, that moves the plot along, but the rule of thumb with writing is if you can show it or tell it, you should show it.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of moments where I feel like we were being told stuff where we should have been shown. And so with that, I think B+ is solid because I would argue that I don't think that any of the prequels are necessarily A material, but none of them are as bad as people say they are.
Yeah, I would agree with that big time.
And so, and you know, we'll see when we get there. I've always kind of had a not popular opinion of Star Wars in that I love Star Wars, but I also understand that they're not the end all, and they're not as good as some of them are not necessarily great movies. Yeah. But they have really great storytelling and world building that are really... And, you know, looking back at the prequels, I think the world building is actually far better than...
It's incredible.
Than it's given credit. And I think that too, because if we're... I like Harry Potter. Like, I like the Harry Potter movies. I think they're fun movies. They're great movies. I think J.K. Rowling needs to stop for more reasons than one. But she got into a phase where she was like, she built a whole website that was just world building, and she was building a lot of stuff that didn't need to be built. Like she was answering questions that no one was asking.
Yeah.
As much as Lucas sucks at dialogue, I think he answered a lot of questions that people were asking about the world, about the things that occurred. And whether he did a fully successful job or not, a lot of it is gorgeous. A lot of it is really good. A lot of it is the worlds, the aliens. Like, there's issues that, you know, some worlds seem like they're monospecies, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, monoculture, mono-environment.
And it's like, you know, this isn't, an evolution podcast or anything like that, but that... I don't think that would exist.
That wouldn't happen, yeah.
Right. Yes. But, you know, all of that being said, his world building is great. I think a lot of his characters were shockingly good, even if he didn't develop them as well as he could have.
Yeah.
Some of the acting was great. Some of it was awful, but some of it was really good. And they deserve more credit than they get. But at the same time, they're not as good as the fandom gives them, and that should be okay. Mm-hmm. And I think most movies fall into that category, especially sci-fi. Like, there are very few sci-fi movies that are, like, genuinely phenomenal films.
Yeah.
Because you're talking about stuff that is hard sometimes for the brain to catch on to, or to tell a story in a certain way.
Yeah.
You have to do a lot of extra stuff to tell sci-fi stories. It's not a plain Jane drama where you don't have to explain why people work at a certain company.
Yes.
They can just work there.
Yeah.
With sci-fi, you have to tell so much more for things to make sense.
You're right.
And that becomes clunky, and that becomes a detriment to the story and to the movie in a lot of ways. Yeah. And so I think that is the truth about sci-fi is it's hard. It's really hard to create an exceptional film but that doesn't mean that it's not good.
Yeah.
You know, and I think Star Wars has so much good in it. The whole saga, everything, it has so much good in it. But I don't know if I could ever say that any of them are like exceptional films. I think we're going to talk about that more in the original trilogy because of the time. And because of the technology and because of the steps forward that they took.
Yeah.
They deserve a lot of credit for that. I think George Lucas deserves a lot of credit for considering that Industrial Light and Magic is still the number one in creating these worlds and kind of being on the edge of what's new and what's innovative.
Edge of technology.
Yeah, they're still at the top of innovation.
Yeah.
But he went overboard, and it's worth saying like that's true, and that's that shouldn't mean we can't look at the movies and go, there's so much good. It's a pretty decent plot all in all. I think there's so much, so it's hard to really stop and go like he should have nailed it or whatever, because even if you think about it, like I would argue that Lord of the Rings has some of the best storytelling, but they're going off of Tolkien, who spent a long time putting it together. It's arguably Lucas didn't put as much time as like Tolkien did to create this giant world, but he did a decent job.
Oh, absolutely.
He's still
the least,
He's still garbage with dialogue, just garbage. But he did a great job. And before we close out the prequels, I really want to emphasize they are so much better than I think the haters think. They in a lot of ways hold up still. Maybe pacing, maybe CGI and dialogue don't, but as a whole, they work to tell the story.
Totally.
And
I would sum it up this way. I think this is a helpful way of saying it. If you were to take yourself back to like the mid 90s, when you hear, hey, news, George Lucas is making a prequel trilogy, and the point of the trilogy is announced. Well, first of all, what would be, I think anybody's question after having originally seen 4, 5, 6? The natural question is like, well, that's a cool like conclusion, but like, where does Darth Vader come from?
Right.
That is the key question here. And so you hear George Lucas is making a prequel trilogy. The big question that's going to be answered is like, where does Darth Vader come from?
Right. Which I don't know. You've probably seen them, but I don't know if you remember them. But I remember the Phantom Menace posters, and it had little Anakin,
with
and
the
then
shadow.
it had Darth Vader's shadow.
Yeah.
And those really kind of built that hype of like, oh, we're gonna get that answer.
That's right. Absolutely.
And I think you do.
Sure, it's not without clunkies. Clunkies, that's not a word. It's not without like bumps and that kind of stuff. But like, it tells that story really coherently, I think. And over the course of 3 movies,
I think it answers
really
the questions that are brought up in the original trilogy. That you have Obi-Wan, you have Yoda, you have these characters who are really old, who have seen a lot, and now we see some of the stuff that they've seen. And we also had reference to the Clone Wars, which when you're watching A New Hope, it's kind of like it almost, I know it has weight, but it almost feels like a throwaway line. And now we have this weight behind it to know that it was this giant thing that involved like a whole galaxy.
Yeah. And that George Lucas had these ideas. George Lucas had 1 through 6 broadly in his head.
Right.
From the moment they started work on the original.
Right.
And that's pretty awesome. In fact, when they first set out to make Star Wars, they were going to make the entire they were going to make the entire original trilogy. Like, their original vision was just the whole original trilogy was one movie, and they thought there's no way. They, you know, obviously when they start writing it out, there's no way to do that. Right. So they made episode 4. They made A New Hope be a standalone thing. If it was a success, they would make 5, 6, and that's exactly what happened. And
wow,
yeah,
that's wild.
Yeah,
jeez.
We can be very thankful that that's how it all shook up.
Because I think
that
those
was just
changes,
one movie,
the changes that built the awe of Star Wars, I think were forced from that decision rather than if they would have made one big movie.
Totally. Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have finished the prequels. We will be moving on to the original trilogy. We will be going into A New Hope, The Empire Strikes Back, and The Return of the Jedi. I've enjoyed these time.
Yeah.
But I am really excited for the next 3. Because there's going to be a point of nostalgia, but I do think we're going to have a critical eye. And because of that critical eye, we're really going to look at it in a way that maybe we hadn't before.
That's right.
And I'm excited for that.
Yeah. Before we sign off, let's real quick just recap our ratings. I've been keeping track of them. So I'll just read all 3 in order for each of us, of course, in order. Episodes 1, 2, 3. So I have rated them C+, C, A. You have rated them B-, D, B+.
Man, I really hated Clone Wars or Attack of the Clone.
Here's what's funny.
Man, I hated that movie. Apparently,
So here's just some quick analysis of these grades so far. So far, what I'm seeing in my rankings is a very high floor. So like the lowest is a C for Attack of the Clones, and that's ultimately not that bad of a grade. So I think the trend with my grades so far is a low floor. I think that just indicates I'm really enjoying them, and I am. For you, I see a trend of you hate the Attack of the Clones.
Right.
And I think it's so funny that episode 1 and episode 3 are only like 2 ticks away from each other. It's a B- to a B+. And so whether that indicates sort of a clustering or you have very high expectations for high grades.
I think it just shows. I think I can answer that because episode 1, the character that we're following the most, even though it's finding Anakin, it's a Qui-Gon Jinn story, and this last one is very Obi-Wan heavy and more so, and Attack of the Clones just focuses so much on Anakin being a perv and being weird and Padme just having to deal with this kid until she falls in love with him randomly. And even though it has a good Obi-Wan story, it's taken down so far just because of that poor character development. And so I think my enjoyment really is based on characters, and so Qui-Gon Jinn was such a major part and was a great character, and I think in the third one Obi-Wan was such a good character and a major part. It gets that extra points, and also I think everyone kind of gets better in that one. They're not as on the outskirts, so I think that's the reason why I think you are having a good time watching these and
very much so
enjoying them, and I'm really interested to see where we land for the next 3.
And the last 3 are going to be interesting too.
I think there's going to be surprises.
There's going to be I know for a fact there's going to be some disagreements in the sequel trilogy between you and me. It's going to be fun though. I'm excited. But that's for another day. That's for another week.
So make sure to follow, subscribe, check us out on Instagram, Twitter. Follow us on any of your podcasting forums. And until next time, you just keep rewinding that review. That's such a dumb line. I don't like it, but I'll get it sometime. Every week. I'll land on something one day, I promise. Anyway, I've been Mike.
I am Joseph.
And we'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.
See ya.